Welcome to the Master Your Mindset and Metabolism podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Dunlap, creator of kellydunlap.com. I am a mindset and metabolism specialist who helps women reprioritize their health, balance their hormones, and reboot their metabolism so they can regain their energy, finally lose the weight, and feel confident in their own skin. I help women break up with the start-over syndrome, all or nothing mindset, get them off the diet wagon so they can create a consistent plan for a sustainable, healthy lifestyle free of diets. In this podcast, we will talk about all the things mindset, metabolism, the role our hormones play in all of this, and how to reboot your mindset and metabolism so you can finally step into your new empowered life. Thank you so much for being here and pressing play. Now let's begin. Guess what? My dear friend Sandra Priestley is here to join us again. If you remember, I did a podcast with her. Gosh, it's probably been about 2 years. And we just have the most fun, amazing conversations. And during this conversation, we talk a lot about faith. And I love Sandy in the sense that she has just this unwavering faith, and it's so admirable. And I just love her dearly. And I've been friends with her, gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. We were connected through a business coach, and we have a lot of similarities. It's kind of crazy. But what I love so much about her and that I've really drawn inspiration from with her is many things, but one of the biggest things is faith. And when she really feels something, she just goes, and she's just a super cool, hip, fun chick. And she actually is an empowerment coach. She's many things, and she's amazing with feng shui, and she makes it really fun, and she's made it her own. And I just love her so much. Anyway, all that said, without further ado, here is the episode. Hey guys, I'm so excited to have my dear friend Sandra Priestley with me today. This is our second podcast that we've recorded. We recorded one a couple years ago, which was so much fun. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to that episode, then you know of Sandra, and she's awesome. She is a leadership coach and a feng shui practitioner. She actually wears many hats in my mind, and she's super, super talented and so much fun. And I invited her to jump back on with me today because I just feel that there's always a great conversation to be had between the two of us. Trust me, we've had 5-hour Zoom calls in the past.
We have.
Which is hilarious. And we just love chatting and shooting the shit. But one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to invite Sandra to the show was because she is just so super cool and fun. But I had even shared with her this morning, before we even hit the record button, how I admire her unwavering faith that she has. And when she knows that something feels good, she just takes that leap of faith and she just jumps. And one of the things that I'll tie that to is the coach that she had hired a year ago, I think just roughly a year ago. And I was kind of cracking up because there was a Facebook post that she had made because, if you follow Sandy, she's super funny. And I was just cracking up about when she made this initial investment and what her husband had said and, all this stuff. And I just, thought that was a really cool, admirable thing. And I want to share her unwavering, like I said, faith and her belief, in herself. And the one thing that I know about her is that she knows that, hey, if perhaps this return on investment isn't showing up right now, for example, she knows that it's coming and she just keeps moving forward. So there's always this forward, motion. And so anyway, thank you so much for being here again, my dear friend. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here. We do have so many good conversations. I love them.
And yes,
it's so funny because when you said like that faith and the faith in myself that I have is the thing that you notice. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's something that I wouldn't have seen for myself, but I do feel that. And I gotta tell you, I heard the most amazing quote. I have no idea who said it, but it was faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. I don't know why that is just so freaking powerful for me. Like my whole body just chills every time I say it. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. And so I really do try to remove as much as I can, like lean more into faith and then fear. And I do think that the one thing that I always try to do is remove the timeline.
Yeah. I think that's a big one.
Yeah. If we have a timeline on something and, you know, we tend to think, oh, it's not working. And we can slip back into fear. The fear starts to occupy the space.
Ooh, interesting how you just tied those two together. I like that. That's brilliant. Because it's so true.
It is so true. And for me, it was really just about like trusting that over time in divine right order, it will all work in the way that I'm meant to experience it. Like it really truly is just listening to the divine messages and knowing that I was made for something more than just existing.
I love that.
And so, I guess that is that faith that I have in myself. One of the things in 2021, in October 2021, I quit my 6-figure a year job. I was working for the federal government. I was recognized nationally. I had a really good job. But I always say that working for someone else is like working within a box, and there's someone else that controls the lid. Like it drove me fucking crazy that I would see that there was something wrong and that I couldn't change it, or that I couldn't yell loud enough till someone from head office would listen, and so even though they would listen to me and I would be on all these national committees, it was like I was always restrained. And over time, I started to feel more worn out and more exhausted, more burnt out, more fried, more depressed. And I think for me, that was a sign, not of even burnout, but a sign that I wasn't following my bliss.
Girl, these are some powerful statements. Like, preach it. Like, I love all of this. All of this. And I love how you said the divine messages that are playing out for you in the way that you're supposed to experience it. And that again goes back to that trust and that faith and just that inner knowing. And I love how you described the box. Holy fuck. It's the worst feeling in the world when you feel like you're being controlled by somebody else. And even though it wasn't a literal person, but still that feeling, it's like death to your soul. And especially if you're a Libra, and it's like,
which we are
feel that way. Right. Exactly. We cannot feel that way. It is like the worst, most suffocating feeling ever.
It is.
God. Yes. So you quit your job. And I remember you had talked about it, and that was something you had contemplated for quite some time. And then I remember you took a selfie and you posted the selfie, and you had shown how you just, like everything you just described, like I felt this way, and you could just literally see it. And then you made the decision, and you just, again, had faith and jumped. And you retired. Did you quit or retire?
I retired early.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think, one of the things I said to my husband is I'm tired of trading my health for wealth.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. Like it was like I knew that I wasn't doing well health-wise. And I felt like my job was a big part of that. And I was staying because of the fear of losing that $100,000+.
Fuck.
So it was like, shit, I am killing myself health-wise. And for what? And I can create this. Like I really, truly, as an entrepreneur, that's what I love, right? I love this idea of like, oh shit, well, if I need more money, I'll just create more. I'll just, create another course, or I'll offer another product, or I'll just because that's what we do. We think about what is it that someone needs. And so, and then we can just generate, we're money generators. So why not? And then, so that was the first big thing that I did, was I quit my job, and I was thinking about it for years, but I also I had tried a number of different businesses. I had my feng shui business. I then decided I was going to add in interior design. So then I started an interior design diploma. And halfway through, I thought, oh, this is too rigid for me. I didn't want to do the rigid designs. It just felt too rigid for me. Yeah. And so I left, and then it was too boxy for me. Yeah. And so I did not finish that. I was with an MLM company. And then I started business coaching and feng shui coaching. And I've taken a lot of risks, probably. Yeah. One time I was working, one of the staff that I was working with on my team, she said to me, okay, so now I see you are doing something different. You're a business coach. And I'm like, yeah, I've been spending a lot of money learning from other business coaches and learning, what went wrong for me and what I learned and what worked for me. And I have my own message. And she said, I can't believe you're changing things again. I can't believe you're starting something else again. I can't believe you're taking this risk again. And I looked at her like, oh, okay, I think you're cutting me down here. I'm not really sure. And she said, can't you just stick with something? And I said, well, I could, but then I would be you.
Exactly.
Right. Because she hated her job. She went to her job every single day. She had such gifts and such brilliance and such love for things that she could have created so many amazing businesses that she would have loved. It was her gifts, her strengths, using those. But instead she came to work every fucking day and was so miserable.
Played it safe.
Why?
And then projected on you.
Right.
Totally projected on you.
Yeah. And so she just kind of laughed at me. But at the same time, I just think we didn't come here to play small. We didn't. And especially, at our age in, the 50s. In
Let's
the 50s,
just say it. We'll put it out there.
But at our age, I think there's this idea of wait, what the fuck? We have less time ahead of us than we have behind us. And I don't want to look in the mirror at the end of my life and go, fuck, what if I just had followed my bliss? What if I just had tried that thing? Who gives a shit if I failed? Right. One of the things that Sarah Blakely, I love Sarah Blakely, don't love Spanx, but I do love Sarah Blakely. And one of the things she said was, when she was growing up, her dad was one of her mentors, and her dad used to say, what did you fail at today? Every single day. It wasn't they wouldn't come home and go, oh my gosh, I got 185% on my exam. He would say, that's amazing. What did you try that you failed at? And it became this, it's okay to fail. It's acceptable to fail, because if you're failing, you're trying something that's difficult for you. Yeah. And I always say this too, that if you're the best on the field, you're on the wrong fucking field. Yes.
That is the truth.
It is.
But you and I both know that a lot of times people like that feeling, and that's their comfy, fuzzy blanket. Yep. And then they don't want to step into the room where they're not the smartest or the best, because it feels uncomfortable. Ew, right? But you and I both know that we're not growing.
This is why we avoid journaling too.
Yes, exactly. Right. We were just talking about that. We got to get our journaling in there, because that is such a powerful thing. Oh my God.
It really is.
Which I'm glad you brought up the journaling, because one of the things that I had written down, usually when I'm on a podcast I'm always writing side notes, because I want to bring that up. Yeah. But the divine, which I'm so all about, which I pull my tarot cards. I use a pendulum. I meditate. I have my, my smudging tools and what's what is this one? I always forget
Sage,
this thing
Palo
here.
Santo.
Yes, the Palo Santo.
Palo
Look at it. I
Santo.
need to grab a new one. I always forget the name of it for some reason. I don't know.
I
But
love that
those
one
are
too.
like my favorite tools that I use in order to connect. Oh, and crystals. Oh my God. I know you've got some kick-ass crystals.
Oh, yes, I love crystals.
You've got some beauties. But what do you think is like some of your main go-to tools to help you ground and connect so that you are in a position of a higher vibration so that you're open to receive?
For sure is meditation. I think, and I have I avoided meditation for years and years and years. But when I was still at work and I was feeling exhausted, I started following this type of meditation, and it was called, oh, what the heck was it called? Can't think of it. But anyway, it's more like of a process of walking your mind through to access God or to access universal messages, to access divine messages. So I was always the girl that was sat there and thought, oh God, if I have to sit cross-legged on a fucking pillow and imagine every single time I have a thought, I have to like imagine it being in a cloud and floating away, like not going to do it. I can't do it. But when there was a purpose to my meditation, like, and this type of meditation is like, I even have a journal beside me, and it's just like a led meditation where you can access your subconscious mind, your access your intuition rather. And so I started doing that, and it just gave me such a higher vibration and a better access to my intuition throughout the day. I use Palo Santo. I love to be surrounded by crystals. I love my citrine crystal. I love like all of smoky quartz. I've got a smoky quartz. I've got a big, huge clear quartz here too.
Yes. And I know you've shared some images. They're so beautiful.
Yes. I love those. And journaling, like, because what I realized, and so I'm doing this 365-day quest this year, because what I realized is that a lot of the times I was spending so much time like really reworking my conscious mind. You know, my conscious thoughts, my conscious statements. I would say something and I would know that I would be in the fear, and I would have to be like consciously saying, okay, why am I, without judgment, but why am I going there? Why am I choosing fear over faith in this moment? Or that's an interesting point of view. That's an interesting thing that my human would say this. So it was really like very much in the conscious mind. But what I realized is, and what we know is that behaviors are coming from our subconscious.
Yes.
And so I just want to clear that bullshit out. Like, and I really truly think it's just, they're running around like a, 3-year-old pyromaniac up there.
Right.
Like just lighting fires and making me want to sit and binge watch something on Netflix. And when we can just consciously force ourselves, like it's got to be forced, because no one wants to do journaling every day.
It does. Right. What's that saying? It's the 5% it's what we do with the 5%, which controls that 95%. So it's like that compound. We have to just reinforce. And that's where you and I both know that's why most people don't want to do any kind of work, because they feel like it's too hard. So just like we were talking about with the journaling.
Yeah.
For us, I think it's really the value, like how much value do we see in the journaling? And I think that our belief system, somewhat, there's a belief system, at least in my mind, I'm not mind reading for you. Sometimes it's like, well, this is going to take me 20 minutes. I could be, and I need to be. Yeah. And then you get like talked into it. So it's kind of like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about how you have to be super careful about those thoughts, because then the body will just automatically follow that. Right.
Yes.
And exactly. So we have to get so tight with, okay, at such and such time or whatever it is during the day, I'm going to sit down and journal. And that's it.
Well, and I mean, realistically, we can convince ourselves all day long, but I can spend all day long in the thought process of avoiding journaling.
That is the truth. Too.
And so I could spend 10 hours avoiding it or 20 minutes doing it.
All that energy gets invested in the avoidance compartment.
It's so true. And and the one thing that I think I've really learned in this last year of working with my coach, was really a year of transformation, internal transformation for me. And really this knowledge that I'm okay with my shitty thoughts, because thoughts are just things I think. They're not true.
Right. You don't have to believe them.
And I read a quote the other day, clearly I'm into quotes, but I read this quote the other day. I wish I had it up here, but it said something like, the amount that you transform is directly proportional to how much you can be okay with your uncomfortable thoughts. Like, so true. Because as soon as we have an uncomfortable thought, what do?
Yep.
We want to fucking avoid it. We want to run away.
Yeah, that is so true. Say that one more time.
Oh, I don't know what it was now.
Something about the amount of growth that you are capable of doing has to do with
directly proportional to your ability to sit with your uncomfortable thoughts.
Yeah. And that's like where that contemplation stuff comes in. So I had kind of gotten into the gene keys, which is like a tree of human design.
Yes.
And I started to study that. And that is over here on my burner. I haven't dove back into it, but that is all about that. Sitting with the uncomfortable, the uncomfortable, the contemplation, the shadow is really, and then what's inside of that shadow is the gift. Right.
Well, and this is what I think when at the end of the year, I always sit and I think, what am I most grateful for? And you know, what's crazy is I was most grateful for the worst moments. Because I could see how I processed myself through them.
Yeah.
And I could see such huge growth. Like I could and it made me proud of how I navigated them. Yeah. And so, I really now I just think it's just every single thought that I have is just, that's interesting. Yay, let's uncover what this is, because when I can, then I can propel forward. Like I really truly see everything that I uncover that feels uncomfortable as a way to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how you were able to look at those not so great moments as pivotal or growth moments, or however you want to word it. Not many people would say that. They'd be like, yeah, God, that really sucked. Oh my God, fuck my life. I can't catch up. Right. And they just like, I'm with you on that, being in a place where I'm like, God, I'm so proud of myself because, I'm really removed from a lot of my alcohol issues, but I remember that feeling. Being so fucking proud of myself, like being moved to tears because of how I handled a specific situation. So I know exactly that feeling. And I still have those moments, but not, maybe because they're not, that one was such a biggie for me. I think now for me, I'm more proud of myself when I'm able to make decisive decisions, even when I know that it might hurt somebody's feelings, because it's like,
well, especially as a Libra.
Yes.
Especially as a Libra, we suck sometimes at decisions.
Yeah, but I think too, Sandy, tell me if you believe this or not. I seriously feel like there is a partial conditioning of what is always said about the Libras, meaning that, Libras are indecisive. Libras, they are this, Libras, they are that. And it's like, no, you don't have to be an indecisive Libra. I used to lean into that all the time. Yeah. Almost like as if I was like, oh, well, I'm a Libra, so I can get away with that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm decisive when it counts, and I'm not so decisive when it doesn't. Like where should we go for supper? I don't know. But when it counts, when it's like for me, it's, you know, I don't know. Should I quit my job? Well, we were talking about this before, should I sign up with this coach? Like when I quit, it's like these power moves. I think when I quit my job, it was a power move. When I hired my coach, and it was December 16th, I think, it was a power move. And it made no logical sense, but it made every ounce, every cell that I own, every single one of them said yes. And I just leaned into the faith. And I mean, it didn't make sense because it was, well, to work with her for a year was 55,000 US, which was about 73 plus Canadian. And I mean, she lived in a van in Australia. I'm not Australian. I own a house. She doesn't brush her hair, and I fucking love her. Like, yeah. You know, and I said to my husband, you're going to kill me, but I want to sign up with a coach. I want to pay $75,000 to a woman who lives in her van. And he's like, what? And I knew that like, it doesn't seem like a logical thing, right? But it was the best. I knew it was for me. I knew it was the best thing for me. And I knew that eventually, in divine right order, I would be able to generate that money too. And it was more in my mind when I signed up with her, I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to generate this money in a year. I didn't anticipate how difficult it was to go from employee, even as a leader, employee to CEO.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it would be more about transforming myself in this year than it would be about sales or business.
It's interesting too, because right, like that decision may have been based on, okay, this can help grow my business, but your soul knew, no, this is about growing you.
Yes,
you know, and that's why you felt that all in that way, you know. And I love how you described that too, because you have to have that physical hell yes, you do. You know, and the logical, that's where we lean into the fear and where we don't take the risks. And then we're 100 years old on our deathbed and saying we shoulda, coulda, woulda, which that sounds like absolute death to my soul.
Mine too.
You know, it's like, take the risk. You got to take the risk. Don't play it safe, man, because you're never going to learn anything. You'll just always be that. And the former boss used to say, you know, be a dead fish in the water, just going with the flow. And I still have that visualization in my head. I could see this dead fish floating in the water, almost like surrounded with seaweed and oil, like, like in a boat marina. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be that, you know, but, the whole thing about faith and fear and the timeline piece is huge. Like I guess I never really recognized how much those two were intertwined until you had said that. It's so interesting how you can know of something, but then when somebody puts it in a different phrase, you're like, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, you get it like on a different level, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like your what is I going to say? It's like that right there, that combination. Timeline is basically putting yourself in a very high risk position to lean into failure. So if you are leaning into timelines, then you just automatically know. Just kind of like, you know, diets, that's a guaranteed pathway. Dieting is a guaranteed pathway into weight gain. People don't realize that, but you're guaranteed. It's a guaranteed thing. Just like if you place the timeline on something. I love it. I love, you know, tying that together. So the other thing too, that I love what you said, and I think there's a lot of people out there that can benefit from this, is how you said, I didn't realize what a difficult time I was going to have going from being a worker into the CEO. And I think that is so true for so many, just like my operations manager gal. She still struggles with that mindset. she still feels like, why do I feel like I have to ask permission to take a day off or
Yeah.
something? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, you gotta divorce that. But I've been there too, and then sometimes what we'll do, and I think you had mentioned this, I don't know if this was before we hit record, but you noticed that, I think that you noticed it after you had hired her, because then you found yourself almost like asking for permission, like as if she were your boss.
Yes.
And that didn't feel good. Yeah.
Well, I hired her. Why would I paid her $75,000. Why would I ask permission from her?
Right.
And it really was I noticed, because I'm always an observer of my behavior, an observer of my feelings, an observer of my thoughts. And so I noticed when I was at the beginning of the year, that I worked with her, the first several months, I was asking these not low level questions, but in a way, low level questions. Like I was asking her, what should I call this? And I don't know what to do next. And how should I phrase this? And how should I word this post? And what's the funnel that I should use? And I was like, it was really like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
And towards the end, I started to really understand, wait a minute, I can access so many better questions or answers to so many better questions. I can ask better questions. I can ask, like our very last question, or a very last session that I had with her just at the end of December, I said, can you please riff on the changes you've seen in me? Like, that's a more powerful question. That's a more like, and I would say towards the end of the year, or half of the year, it was more of a partnership.
Yeah.
It was more of a like getting to know one another on a partnership basis, and really me stepping into that expertise, my own expertise, understanding that I had my own expertise, and that just because she made more money than me doesn't mean that she knows it all, has all the answers.
Yeah.
And together we came up with the answer. So it was a lot about stepping into my own confidence and really understanding that I was a CEO and I have strengths and gifts that no one else has.
Yep. 1000%. I love how you said that it turned into more of that partnership, which I love that, because that, what you had described about how, okay, well, what should I call this? And what should I do that? That just creates massive delays. You know what I mean? Like massive delays.
Yeah. I wasn't leaning into my intuition. I would get an idea, some sort of an idea pop into my head. And I think, oh, fuck, this is really good. I'm going to do this. And then I would have to wait for our next session, or I would Voxer her and, like I wouldn't get an immediate response. So it felt like everything was delayed. Yeah. Whereas, towards the end of the year, it was more about me truly owning my brilliance. And when I realized, oh, wait a minute, like this is more powerful than money. This is more powerful to step into my own brilliance, my own strengths, my own gifts, my own genius. And it's about knowing that I have it, having the confidence to really own it, and then having the confidence to show it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. And so now you own it. And are you showing it?
Yeah. Yes. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned was that I needed to stop doing things. And I know this. I mean, I'm dyslexic. I need to do things the way that I need to do them, not in a box, not like anyone else does them. Holy heck. Like, right. Yes. So I knew this, and I knew to just use my strengths. And so I really took a step back and went, okay, where do I thrive?
Yeah.
It's not on my personal page. It's not on Instagram. Instagram makes me feel stressed. I don't love like the grid. I don't feel like my life or my pictures fit in a magazine, like a lookbook. right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it became, oh, wait, I really love my Facebook business page.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, I truly am just doing what I want and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels so much more free. And that's really what I help my business clients with. All of my clients, even if they don't have a business, it's like, what comes so naturally to you that you don't even have to think about it?
Yeah. The effortless.
What is effortless?
Mm-hmm.
What is effort? And I'm all about, taking risks and seeing, like, if you're really good on video, where are you resisting? But I feel also that we all have resistance in some ways. We either work through it or we work around it. And that's the big decision.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting, feeling the resistance and doing nothing about it, choose your path, through or around. That's it. Those are the only options, because otherwise, if you feel the resistance and you don't do anything about it, then you stay stuck. And then you wonder at 100 years old, looking in the mirror, what did I do with my life?
And it's funny. You're talking about the through or around, which you and I've always said, just like Dory, you got to swim through it, not over it. But I know, and so do you, that the more that we just go around something, it's that shit sandwich, right?
Yeah.
that we got to move over, that you always talk about, the shit sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just know we're just delaying it. We're just fucking delaying it. So it's like me with reels. Do I really want to do it? Do I want to dance on a reel?
Yeah.
No. So I'm trying to figure out where do I feel that I can share my expertise and yet feel the way that I want to feel in my business and my way, without feeling like I got to dance and do all this dumb shit just to fit in. And it's like, that's not what I want.
I cannot with the dancing on the reels.
I can't get behind it either, my friend. That's why you and I are like thick as thieves.
We are like, I know.
We're like the same person.
I laughed so hard because I saw an Instagram reel yesterday. And this girl was saying, I don't like reels. I don't, like in 2023, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't love reels, so I'm not going to do reels. And I'm like, I wanted to comment, but I won't. And I didn't, but I wanted to comment, you realize you did a fucking reel to announce you're not going to do reels. What? Brilliant. And she was dancing on it.
Uh-huh.
Like, what?
Yeah. That is so funny.
Yeah. But I think in 2023, we're going to see more realness. I think less bullshit.
More
less
authenticity,
dancing,
kind of like
more authenticity, less showmanship, more like, this is who I am and this is who I help.
Yeah, like the roots, more rooty.
Yeah.
Instead of like, hey, look at my bag, which we were talking about, the Chanel shit and all that stuff. Hey, whatever, to each their own, not hating on them at all. It's just not my thing. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't impress me. It doesn't, I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for, but I would much, much, much rather know more about your mind. You know what I mean? Like, and what's in your wisdom versus what's in your closet.
Right. Because you and I are all more about transformation than ownership. Right?
Yeah.
Like evolution and not materialistic shit.
There you go.
Like, I'm all about, I love my heels. I love, I just bought this beautiful coat that is like the warmest thing ever. And my husband's had one for like 25 years. It was expensive. I went into the store. It was a total experience. I loved it.
Yeah. See, I'm with you. I like those experiences, like the good customer service, the feel of a good receipt,
exactly.
That kind of is the shit that I can get behind and get down with, but not about the, hey, look at my bag kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah. So you go to the store, it's an experience. You put the fuzzy, or I don't even know if it's fuzzy. I'm just imagining something fuzzy.
It's a parka. Like, it's a parka. It's a Canada Goose parka.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So it's warm.
So beautiful. Like, it was minus 30 Celsius here. Crazy. I was wearing my Canada Goose parka with a t-shirt on underneath. And I felt like completely like my body temperature it felt like I was just inside.
Wow.
It was so warm. I couldn't get over it.
Cozy.
And so it was practical. It was good for me when I go for walks. It was good for me when I go for football games. And, like it was this thing that I wanted for, no kidding, probably 15 years. And I didn't post it anywhere.
Yeah, you got to talk about that thing. But it's so true. It's the practical thing. And here's the thing. I don't want anybody getting confused listening to this, that we aren't down with the self-care and that we don't invest and, all that kind of stuff, because we do, but it's not about that. I don't even know what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. My value system right now where I sit is more about the customer service and what something can provide me, kind of like the parka makes you feel safe and warm and cozy versus, this other stuff. Now, you and I might be on a podcast next year and we might be talking about our Chanel bags. I mean, who the fuck knows?
We might be.
but
it's all about evolution.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's all about evolution and being okay with changing your mind and being okay with changing, like growing from where you are to where you want to be, or from where you are now to where you are going to be tomorrow and next year. And so I, never say never.
Right. Same here. I'm not against it. I am totally not against it. But right now, I think that you and I are for sure on that same page where it's like, we want to experience and we want to, have that type of that feeling. That's where I get like,
yes,
put me in first class or comfort versus, coach, or, upgrade my hotel room, or sit me in the VIP area, or, you know what I mean? Like that is like high on my value system,
mine too.
So I'm like, all about that. But I just love this conversation and how just real and authentic it is so refreshing. And you've always been somebody, who will invest and isn't afraid. And that's what I love, because there is not many people, that would do that, because they don't have the faith. They choose fear. And something that one of my mentors had said recently was, love frees, fear clings.
Oh.
Love frees, like is freeing, love will free, and fear will cling. And it is so true. And it's like, if we cling, if we lean into fear, we're just going to cling on to the shit that we don't want anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I do this when I'm teaching on feng shui. I talk about, and actually even just in my mindset course, I talk about how sometimes we hold on to things, like we hold on to beliefs, we hold on to articles, we hold on to everything, right? And if you imagine your hands being clenched, like us physically holding on to things, and our hands are clenched, how can we like allow in anything? We can't. There's no room for it. So sometimes letting that go and just like stopping that clingingness or that holding on to something that doesn't serve us.
Yeah.
That opens up our hands so that we can actually receive what does propel us forward.
Yes. Receive is something that we need to talk more about. Open to receive. I receive that. I'm open to receive, because so many of us are like, no, I'm good. No, I don't want that. No, I'm good. Right. And that's basically a clenched hand, but just saying it's the same thing, right? And people like, no, I don't need your handout. It just means I'm not open to receive.
But, and we do that with everything, like compliments, right? Like how often have you seen, I used to do this all the time. Someone say, oh my gosh, I love your hair. And I would say, okay, seriously, I haven't got it cut in 3 months. Like it's awful. Or, oh my gosh, like, do you ever look good? What, you can't tell I've gained 5 pounds? I mean, like, and if you can't receive a compliment, or you won't allow someone to open the door for you. You know, you walk into a store and someone opens the door and you say, no, I got it. And you hold it for them. What?
Yeah.
If we can't receive compliments, we can't receive someone purchasing a meal for us or a coffee for us or whatever, we can't receive gifts.
Mm-hmm. And the divine ones, which are the big ones
from the universe.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're just not available. So we have to practice receiving in those little ways too.
Yeah. It's so, and that's where our 5% comes in, Sandy. We gotta practice that receiving. It is so true. And gosh, that analogy with the clenching of the hands, I had somewhere along the way came across somebody talking about treat money like it was a person. And and if you're in a relationship and they want to shackle you, they want to never let you go, you can't go anywhere. It's like the same thing when you do it with money.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that's powerful. Think of money as if it's a person. You can't keep it. You can't hold it hostage. You can't keep it. You can't you cling so tight to it, because then you'll never open up the gate of the flow.
Exactly.
And that's a constant work, even for myself too. And I think that's like living in scarcity and fear for so many years, and, in survival mode, it's like when you come across even a larger amount of money, it's like, what do I do with this? Fuck, it's like a hot potato. Where do I put it? I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to do with this shit, and then it's like, okay, well then I should just put it over here. It needs to just stay right there. It can't move. Again, holding the hostage, all that, it's just amazing to me to be able to see all these behaviors, which like you had described, you're able to see. And I'm so grateful to be able to say I'm able to see that within myself too. And sometimes be like, where in the hell did that come from?
Right.
Why is that coming up for me?
And I think the way that we're able to do that is because we don't judge ourselves for having it. Right. Because so often if we have a negative thought, we will, or I used to anyway, feel shame.
Yes.
Right? Oh, it's a negative thought. And now I feel shameful because what am I creating? I can't have a negative thought. I have to have a positive thought. I've got to, what am I putting out into the universe? Oh my gosh. And now it's just really neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like,
no
well, that's
judgment.
a normal thing. That'll pop up now and then. Let me just take that thought and put it over here. Cancel.
Right.
See you later.
Exactly. Or even just this idea of like, wow, that's interesting. My brain would go there.
Yes. That right there. When I have those moments, that's when I'm able to like you were saying, have that moment of like, oh my God, Kelly, you've grown so much. That's such an old thought. You haven't thought that way since you were 25. But it is amazing how certain things will trigger, or like a smell or a sound or, whatever. And all of a sudden up comes an old thought that hasn't been healed.
Right. And we think that it has, right? This is the interesting thing, because we think that it has, and we're pretty sure we're gone through it. And then all of a sudden it comes up again. And you think, frick.
Like, there you are again with this bad rash. Get the fuck out of here.
It.
Oh, or like the bad boyfriend that likes to show up, like, oh, come on, just come back to me.
But it's, no, we just think we just got rid of it. And then, nope, here you are again. I think it's just to like heal it on another level. And I always see when those things come up, it's a gift.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I mean, I'm not saying that I don't go down the rabbit hole, because I freaking do. And especially, I don't know if it's the same for you, but worry about my kids can just throw me down the rabbit hole so badly.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm there. And Cam, my husband, will always say, just give it to the angels.
I love that. And it is so true. I've been trying to do that more often. I forget.
Yeah. He says and he always says they're seriously up there going, we're bored. Why are you not asking for help? Just give it to the angels. Ask the angels for help.
Yeah.
And I think, faith over fear.
Yeah. Faith over fear. For sure. Amen.
Give it over to God.
For-
like all of those Al-Anon and AA things, they work, right? Give it to God, turn it over to God. Like all of the, and really, God grant me the serenity. I love that prayer.
Me too. I will still hear that in my mind sometimes. You know, God,
yes.
Not that I've ever worked the program, but definitely step 5, unbeknownst to me, which is interesting. That's where you really take ownership and apologize and all that other stuff.
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But it's so true to ask our angels, just take this from me today.
Yeah.
Take this burden, help me, show me.
Even for an hour.
Yeah.
Take this from me for an hour.
Like,
please help. Like,
yeah.
Because a lot of times everything that we're worried about is not within our control anyway. Right. So we're spending so much time in the vibration of fear that we need to try as best as we can to get into the faith. And so if we,
it's kind of like
angels
the visualization.
Take my hand.
Yes. I love that. I just had the visualization of being in this box and seeing like, okay, there's a little hint of light, right? And being able to like open that, because that's exactly what you described. Faith is on the other side of that lid of the box.
Yes.
You know, and there's no worse feeling. I call that burning belly, which I know you probably have a term for that too. It's kind of like, I get tired of being inside that box, seeing the light, having that burning belly, knowing that I could be better, do better, have better. But I just was afraid and was leaning into fear. So I just kept looking up at that light, seeing that little hint of light.
Little pinhole. Yeah.
There you go.
So
So just visualizing that kind of thing. But anyway, well, this was such a fabulous conversation, as I knew it would be.
I know.
Such good stuff. It's always so good to just talk and just have these wonderful reminders. And I just love your analogies and the way that you describe things. And even just kind of like, hey, even if one nugget, like for me today, it's like the timeline, the timeline and how it's a high risk for flipping you right back into fear. So, forget that. That's not a good way to go about things. So, but there is a couple of things I wanted to bring up. You have, which I hope you still have it. It's the 30-day Room for Miracles. I think you still have that or no?
Yes. Room for Miracles Challenge.
Yes. I think that's really cool.
Series.
Yeah, I think that's a really great series for people I think it's a great starting point for people who are looking to feel different, but don't really know how, and they can do it in their space. And then I know you talked about the 365 that you just started. That's a group.
I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, which is super cool. And then you also have your high value Facebook group. And so what we'll do is we'll put all of that stuff in the show notes for people to find you and reach out to you. Because, I'm telling you, and you want to be on her newsletter. You want to get her newsletter every month too, because you'll laugh your butt off. Pretty cool shit in there too. So, but anyway, thank you again, dear friend. It was so great to catch up, and I appreciate you spending the time with me today. And I know that everybody who listened in is going to enjoy this too. So thank you so much again for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you love what you heard, please be sure to share it with me by leaving a review. If you aren't already following me on social media, come find me on Facebook by searching Kelly Dunlap, or come join me in my Master Your Mindset and Metabolism Facebook group by going to kellydunlap.com/group. I cannot wait to connect with you on the next episode.